Hello, and welcome to another edition of Conversation with First Baptist Church. With me today is Louise Mason. Louise, good to have you here with us.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate you taking the time to do this interview with me.
Well, I enjoy doing them. So everybody grew up somewhere. So tell us what it was like, where you grew up, and what childhood was like.
I grew up in Isonville, Kentucky, which is in Elliott County. It borders Round, and it's very rural. There's not even a stoplight there. When I was growing up there was a post office, an elementary school. There were some little country stores. That was about it. We lived on a straight stretch, so we always had to be careful near the road because living on a straight stretch in that curvy, hilly country, people would absolutely fly up and down the road. And we lost a lot of pets that way. When I was growing up, we did not bring our pets in the house. They were all outdoor pets, and so we lost many a dog and many a cat to the road. But my grandfather ran a sawmill. And at lunchtime, I can still, in my mind's ear, I guess, I can still hear my grandmother, my Grandma Stella, yelling, "Docky, dinner!" And she had that high voice that carried. She had a beautiful singing voice too. And even though he was across there running the sawmill, and you know how loud those are. He could hear her, and he would shut down his operation and go home for dinner. And my other grandmother, Grandma Barker, lived in Carter County, which borders Elliott. So I grew up with lots of cousins. My dad is one of 7 children. My mother is one of 8. There were 8 living children. She had a little brother who was stillborn. Holidays were all about family. One year at Thanksgiving, we had my mom's family and my dad's family, and we cooked and baked for days in preparation for that, and it was wonderful having, there wasn't room in the house for all those people. We had people sitting on, outside, in the yard, all around, kitchen, living room, they were everywhere, front porch, back porch, It was great. We spent our lives outdoors. We made witch's brew, and we went fishing, and we caught crawdads and roasted them on the creek bank. And everybody raised a big garden. And we were right there in the garden, learning to plant and weed and hoe and harvest and preserve. And we grew up with, raising pigs, chickens, cows. Both sides of the family had some horses. We didn't, my family didn't. But, we rode horses and ponies and sorghum. My grandfather raised sorghum, and so we all worked in that some. And, it was fun when it was sorghum making time. My grandfather had a mule named Dobbin, and he used old Dobbin to run the mill. But then at one point, my dad had a little VW Beetle, and he would drive that little VW Beetle around and around in a circle running that mill. So that was kind of fun.
That was kind of unique.
Yeah.
So, growing up, what was your dream job? What did you want to do?
There was a show on television at the time called Get Smart. And so I thought it would just be wonderful to be a private eye, or something like that. And there was a cartoon later that was based on that. I think it was called Inspector Gadget. Mm-hmm. There was the phone in the shoe, and all kinds of things like that. So I thought it would be much fun to be a private detective or a spy or something along those lines. That was when I was quite young. And then a little later in life, as a family, we started going on vacations, and we'd go to the beach in the summer. So I thought it would be nice to be a marine biologist. Then I came to the realization that there are no oceans in or around Elliott County. So I decided that I would choose an occupation that I could do anywhere, even in a location where there were no oceans. So I studied accounting. I came to Morehead State University and majored in accounting. And I worked in banks for a time, and I've worked at H&R Block. I'm currently at Morehead State University. I'm service learning coordinator there, and it's a good job. I enjoy it.
Well, you've answered the next question I had, was what brought you to Morehead?
Yeah, I came here to go to college. I left for a time. My husband got a job in Atlanta, and so we lived there for a couple of years. My middle child, Sheila, was born down there, and I call her my little Georgia peach. And then my husband's mother got sick, and so we came back to Elliott County. We moved back to Elliott County for a time, and then we came back to Morehead, and my youngest, Sharon, was born here. So I have 3 children, and they're all in the area, which is lovely. No grandchildren, but I hope to have the title grandma one of these days, maybe. My husband Dan and I, between us, we have 4 children. And so Wesley and Lindsay live in LA.
That's great. So what hobbies do you have besides the dogs?
Yeah, I do love the dogs. I like to walk in the woods, and we take the dogs with us. Dan and I have spent a lot of time on the Sheltowee, and out around Cave Run Lake. We go to state parks. We've been to Breaks and Carter Caves, and just different places. So that has really been nice for us during this time when we both really enjoy listening to live music, and have not been able to do that as much just because we did not really want to be around crowds all that much. So it's been really nice to be able to take the dogs and walk in the woods with them. Now,
you're part of an organization that deals with the Sheltowee Trace, is that correct?
Yeah. I am on the board of the Trail Town Task Force.
Well, one of my favorite questions always is, what's your favorite meal? And since you enjoy going to music festivals and so forth, I'm sure there's a lot of eating out.
Oh, well, yeah, anytime we go somewhere like that, there's always festival type food, deep fried everything. But my favorite meal is any meal eaten with friends and family. That makes everything better. I think the conversation that goes along with that is what makes the food taste good. The act of preparing it together, serving it together, and sitting around the table and visiting, talking.
Most people have something on their bucket list that they would like to do, somewhere to go, be a movie star. What's on your bucket list?
I'm definitely not planning on movie stardom. I want to visit all of the Kentucky state parks. There are some I have not been to. And then maybe I would start on some, parks and historic sites, not just in Kentucky, but in neighboring states. The national parks, I've been to a few. I haven't been to nearly enough of them. There are states that I would love to see. So yeah, travel, I guess. I think that's is that the standard answer?
That's pretty much the standard answer. So what brought you to First Baptist Church, and why have you stayed?
Well, I guess my first experience with First Baptist Church was I took piano lessons, and our recital. Our recitals were held here, and I thought it was nice that a church would open their doors for the community to be able to use the space. I was struck by that. And then, when my children when Sharon was really young, I think she was in kindergarten, I worked Mother's Morning Out here. That was before, that was at a time in my life when I was just working part-time. And then, then whenever she was in school full-time, I started working full-time again. And my good friend with whom I worked, Lenore Dixon, invited me to come here with her. And also, and then later on, I lived in Hidden Valley, and Joyce and Dudley Heron were my neighbors, and they also invited me here. And I got started coming to church here, and it's a very welcoming place. It felt like home.
That has been one of the answers, that it feels like home and very welcoming. Yeah. Almost everyone has had that answer. Yeah. Of all the characters in the Bible, except for Jesus, of course, who would you spend the day with? Take them to Cracker Barrel and have fried chicken?
I think that I'm not sure I'd choose fried chicken, but I think that I would want to take a family with me. And I think it would be Sarah and Abraham and Isaac. And, I would like to explore their faith with them, because if God told me to sacrifice one of my children, I'm not sure that I would be able to do that. Or, I can't see myself being able to do that. And, I know ultimately that's not what happened. And God had promised that there would be a great nation. But as far as Sarah, if she knew what was coming, I don't know. I'm just not sure that I would be able to do that if I were in their place.
So, how has First Baptist Church impacted your life?
And at times in my life, I was married for 32 years, and whenever I got divorced, for a while I did not come to church because I could not, people would ask me how I was and I would cry. But then whenever I was ready to come back to church, my church family really helped me through a hard time in my life, So, this church has really been a support system for me.
So, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like to share with us?
Well, I can't go through all of this without mentioning my sister. She has really been an inspiration to me throughout my life. She's 19 months older than I am, and I think that I have always looked at her to see what is the right way to do life. So shout out to Simone Ratcliffe.
Excellent. Well, this has been another edition of Conversation with First Baptist Church. I'm Larry Dixon, and with me has been Louise Mason. Louise, it has been a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure talking with you.